Hey everybody, welcome to Arts Talks, and here we are. We're going to have a good time tonight. We've got Angel Neri, and we've got Cheri, May, Jocson. Is that how you say it?
Yes,
All
that's
right.
exactly how you say it.
Thanks for coming out, guys. I met Angel, I don't know, last year, about over a year ago.
No, like 2 years ago?
I guess we were.
It was
I guess
for
you
like
came to quite a few shows before we got into
Yeah.
doing some stuff together. Oh yeah, because the Muse show was a good 6 months before
Yeah,
Poetry
so it
Night.
was like,
Yeah, they're both really great events. Angel's involved with a group, RCC Muse. They have a literary journal magazine that they publish there at the school. Angel, is it completely published and put out and funded through the group? How does it all work?
it's the school. It's set up as a class. We have a budget from ASRCC. We were working on getting more money, and we were doing well at it. Like we were speaking with the school's president because he seemed to take a liking for the project, I guess.
Right.
And
Just went from
lost
there.
that.
I didn't realize that Muse has been around for so long. It looks like it's
Yeah,
been
like
around
30
since
years
the
or so.
80s,
Yeah.
1985 or something.
Yeah, I think this one was issue 30, 33.
What's really interesting is how long it lasted before the school actually started bringing it on as a curriculum or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It was out of it was kind of on hiatus for a few years. Then Professor Scott Coe brought it back as a club for a few issues, and so that one was just like a club, and I think it was just student work, like part of the club kind of thing. And then after that, my first year working in Muse, I took it with her, with Professor Scott Cup. And then the year after, Professor Duquette took over. And yeah, he's kind of took over. They're both working on it, but he's kind of more involved in it. I guess.
Would you say who's got the reins? Is it teachers or the students?
It's kind of back and forth. We'll fight him on stuff
that's what you should.
Yeah, it's democratic, I think. He offers us guidance, but we for sure translate that guidance into what's important right now and what we think is important. And I'm sure Muse has gone on for a while. Generationally, I'm sure it's a different response every time with every editorial team. So I would say it's back and forth. I think it's a balance.
We had a whole thing about Instagram for the whatever book launch we were able to do.
Right.
He wanted to just do just on Facebook, and I was like, no. We've been working I've been working Instagram for a month. I've been running weekly events. Trying to build up to this. Yeah,
it's
it was a
funny
whole
how
thing.
social media invades everything.
Yeah.
Right? It just, it seems to find its way in. It just weasels in. It's like, you can't do this without me, guys. And if you don't do the right combination of things, then you never. Social media is a funny thing, man. When it comes to the arts and business.
You kind of need it to be relevant sometimes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's where people go for their content.
Yeah.
Like it or not. But man, it just seems to be you're trying to write your most prolific, literature, and you're checking your feed.
It's
seeing what responses you got.
It's like you said, it's so prevalent. I see it. I do that in my work intentionally, but in other people that I guess my contemporaries, kind of seeping through that kind of stuff, online stuff, and
I think artists a lot, they auditioning their ideas to this audience as they're building it, so it could be helpful.
Yeah, super
in those ways, But yeah, it's wild. So I have 2 copies of you guys' journal the last couple of years. I like it a lot. I felt like when I put my copy, I guess it's over there on the table. How many issues have you guys been involved in putting together? You've been in this program the same amount of years?
1.
Oh.
And 3.
3 years? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you think there will always be a paper-bound copy of Muse?
I hope so.
As the world starts to change?
I hope so too.
Yeah. I'd hope so because we worked really hard on it too. So I would definitely want to see it carry on, even once I'm not involved. Yeah.
See so many things, going digital. Like just that's the way people are publishing works in general now. But I love the book. It's
yeah. Having the actual physical thing is
It's like or what?
I was gonna ask, do you guys have a digital copy also?
No, but I was gonna say like we had that resistance with like the Instagram and stuff, and I mean this was my third year, but the 2 years before we were trying to work on like, hey, maybe we should get a website or something. It's just it's difficult.
You could do like a lot of musical artists that were releasing vinyl copies of their LPs and stuff. They come with a download. That way you can have a more practical listening piece, and then you still have that tangible item that's so special.
Show it off.
But yeah, that's pretty cool. So, like each year when new students are coming in, is everybody in Muse? You got to try out. Audition, do hate stuff.
You got to read 200 books in like a week.
Yeah. Oh my God, it feels like it. No, you just register for it because it's a class now. Like I said, it was a club for a little bit, and then they were able to get it as a class. It's a transferable class. Some credits.
It's just a random ass class.
Yeah.
And there's people that just like register for it because it's there. So you'll get people that are like, I don't know what this is, but like this time around, we got people that were like, oh yeah, like I wanted to be in that in the class, or I was interested in the thing.
That was me.
Was it?
So I noticed like not all the works are from students in the class. You have people from all over the world.
Yeah. It's open submissions and like from the world.
You get them from all over.
Yeah, we got international ones.
Yeah.
Who did we get this year?
We got people from the Middle East. We got people.
Krishnu. Or something.
Krishnu Patel, I think. Who else?
One of the photographers, Alessandra Leda. She's from Milan. The year before we had Singapore.
Yeah.
Tanvi Duda Gupta or something.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
cool.
remember because it's a cool name. But yeah, we get.
So you guys want to know everything about it. It's not just writing and putting together a book. You're reaching out to artists all over.
Yeah.
You're finding ways to finance stuff. It's pretty cool because you have to know all that stuff in any kind of art.
Yeah.
Because usually no one's gonna do it for you. At least not in the beginning. And then everybody wants to be.
I actually had a piece in the Muse magazine,
cool.
I think in 2013.
Nice.
That's so
I
cool.
looked for my copy, but
Oh, that's cool.
I looked for like 2 minutes. But
You didn't look very hard. I feel like you didn't look at all.
no, I did. I medium looked.
Medium looked.
Half looked.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
So now about yourselves, like, where would you say, like, let's just take a turn. Tell us about your, what's your angle? Where are you coming from in this art, of literature?
I'm a writer. I'm a poet. Been writing, I don't know, since I was a teenager, I guess. But like seriously, or taking it seriously and myself seriously. I don't know, maybe since I was like 19, 20. But I was like, oh, I like this. I want to get better at this and like keep doing it, not just I wrote a thing. I write. What did Professor Dugan describe it one time? Is it something about narrative? It's not quite narrative, but it's
Prosy?
yeah, it's kind of prosy, I guess, conversational.
Like, so, where are you at right now? Short stories? You want to write a novel someday?
Nah,
Yeah.
I could not. I could not. I've only written one short story. It was okay.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was about the shirt, right?
Yeah, the
The
shirt
stain?
one. Yeah, some guy and there's a stain on his shirt, and then the stain keeps like growing and growing, and then it kind of gets like
Consumes
darker.
everything.
Yeah, and then at the end he's just like
You knew
in
where
his
it was.
bedroom and just like staring at
I
his
really want to
reflection.
read this story now.
I want to read it too. I don't think you ever sent it.
You haven't
to me.
read it?
Uh-uh.
Oh, I thought I had.
What was the stain? What the stain?
Oh.
Did we ever find out how he got it?
No.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I just left.
Just kind of leaves you on the edge right there.
Yeah, so, some people said that they read like substance abuse into it, or like mental health issues into it, and like the
So
kind of hiding it, but like not doing anything about it, so it just kind of keeps growing. I guess I don't know. My initial like inspiration for that same week that I wrote it, I'd fallen in the bathroom. I was in the shower and I fell and I hit my head on the sink. And so I was telling people the following day, and they're like, "You should probably go to the doctor." No,
Now
fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
fine.
It just hurt, but I'm fine. And then, but yeah, I was writing the story at the time, and I think there's a line, something in there about like, oh, maybe I should call a doctor or something. And then I was like, oh yeah, maybe I can just run with that. And then yeah, just ran
When
with
you
it.
lived, we're glad you made it through.
Yeah, yeah. No, I just recently fell again.
Hey man, what's wrong?
Yeah, you're gonna have to document these. It's good to hear a
Did you go
writer.
to the doctor
For that one, I didn't. No.
and for this recently?
I didn't.
So good.
I'm sorry.
I didn't either. No, I was just sitting outside, and I had been drinking a little bit, so that's why I was on the porch. I was having a cigarette, and then just kind of like I was sitting on a little stool, and then just
Yeah, you gotta be careful when you drink, 'cause then your bloodstream you bleed more, man. That's cool. Well, anyway, so let's move on. And you,
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Cheri.
Hey. So I've been calling myself a writer. I feel like just for the last, like at least a poet
Mhm.
for the last year. Since October
Yeah.
last year, that's when I started writing poetry. Before then, I've been keeping a diary since the 2nd grade.
Whoa, you
So-
have all of it
I have all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of zany.
daily.
Most of it, yeah. Well,
Wow.
more like important events or things I make important. But it came from a fear when I was little of like not wanting to forget what's happened to myself
Mhm.
throughout my lifetime. So I guess that fear made me a writer.
Yeah.
But I have volumes of like, like, oh, I have a crush on this boy, like from 5th grade. And
Wow,
then
you can really pull all kinds of stuff from that.
I wonder,
as an
there's,
adult. Yeah.
Have you gone through them
Oh yeah,
lately?
to keep me in check, I go through them.
To keep you humble?
Yes, to keep myself humble. And I would write stories in elementary school, and I've just been trying poetry this last year. And a lot of Angel has had influence on me.
Thank you.
And he's been encouraging, and also someone I could use as like a backboard. So, and that and Muse has like only developed, I feel, this like new love for like words on paper. And
So being in a classroom format when you're doing like poetry and things like that. I mean, so I write stuff, but it doesn't. When I played music, it would have an audience.
Right.
But a lot of stuff I write, it just sits at home and with.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But like to get into a classroom format as it relates to poetry and bounce those ideas off people, like you were saying, I wrote a short story, and you were hearing how other people connected to it in ways that you didn't even.
Yeah,
It
that
wasn't
was so
in your
interesting.
mind. Do you think it's there subconsciously in you, or it's just something they're pulling from your story?
I like to think it's a little bit of both. I don't know. I like the idea of
Your little Freudian
yeah, a little bit.
Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, and also like leaving enough room for the reader to like project a little bit, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't think of my work as having like a meaning, or like, oh, this is about this.
Just kind of a texture of
yeah,
words.
yeah,
and-
yeah. So,
Abstract poetry.
yeah, a little bit.
Very cool. So, all right. You guys are all in here putting together these poems. Is there like heavy competition? I mean, do you guys battle like on the football field?
yeah, Lord.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you mean?
No, yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, we'll argue like this is awful, and then
Yeah.
someone will be like, "What do you mean? This changed my life?" And so it's because
Yeah.
words have an impact like that.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's kind of like fighting for your child, I guess. Kind of like when we're deciding what gets in, what doesn't get in.
Wow. Yeah. So you guys, not everybody makes the cut.
Oh no,
Oh yeah.
no. We. Oh, he gave us a percentage of acceptance rate,
Mhm.
but I don't remember.
I don't remember.
There's
Into the
something-
program or into the publication?
into the publication.
Do people in the class often not make it into the publication?
I didn't make it this year and the year before actually.
Oh, so you guys are cutthroat.
Yeah. No, for when it's a.
Aren't you an editor?
Yeah, for both.
He voted for himself every time.
Still didn't make it.
Because they're blind.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey.
Like when
In the pudding?
yes, so that we don't like
Have favoritism.
yeah that for that reason. So I was just kind of like sitting there, just watching it being torn apart. No, there was this whole
Is that dramatic?
like, I think it was there's this poem, Mornings Without Matches, I think, and then some girl took a really big issue with me using matches as like an image, and was like, no one uses matches. Why not a lighter? I don't know.
Yeah,
it doesn't have the same.
That's
I don't
what.
know. Yeah,
So weird.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think
it's
like,
interesting.
when we look back on literature over the years, words can be so beautiful, but you're just like, what are they talking about? I don't know what like a measurement of a bushel is, and like so the word doesn't translate to me as well. Or like in movies now, you watch them and it's like that can't be real. There's got to be like 20 surveillance cameras that caught it all on tape, and how art it has to kind of travel with the time at a certain point, but it's it doesn't mean you're going to change a word either.
Yeah.
And it's like, what were you actually describing?
Yeah, and I think like right now, using like words like a match, like you said, lighter. It's like super like you can use like things to make it more retro.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a prettier image.
Yeah,
It's
there you
a match.
Aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also, there's the alliteration like mornings and matches.
What you're trying to do.
And people do still use matches in their phone.
Yeah.
Matches they work.
Before I switched to vaping, I used matches.
Yeah, it's like a cowboy.
Yeah.
Super cool aesthetic.
But I understand that sometimes like someone will take issue with like something, and you have to be careful because with words, it's something in their own interpretation of it that depending on what you're trying to do, if you're just trying to get your own like heartfelt point across, or if you're trying to write something, say you're writing for hire and get a point across of a product or an image or something. Like I've had times where I was working on music, and other people I was working on took issue with like a certain word, and it was something I really liked, and so like I'd ask them why, what about that don't you like? And there's some kind of comparison they had drawn in their own experience that I didn't think was entirely relevant to whether we should use it or not because someone else had done something a certain way. I mean, as long as you're not breaching like the line of plagiarism.
Yeah.
If I do something that reminds you of something else, that's just you.
Yeah.
It's just on you.
Yeah, the other day I saw some work over at the salon shop,
Oh, nice.
and he was like, "Oh yeah, I was cutting somebody's hair," and they were looking at the piece and they didn't like it. No, I had to move. Like, he had to move them. Like, don't look that way.
And he felt like he had to tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess like the point I'm trying to make is like, it doesn't. You can't please everybody. With
Yeah. It's. I don't know. I guess it's the same way for regardless of the type of art that you're making, but it's words at least, which is the only thing that I do. They're like. Yeah, they're your thoughts. So it's like if someone's like, oh, that could have been phrased differently or something.
Yeah. Not necessarily having the widest audience doesn't always add up to not being the most prolific or respected artists. There's a lot of artists that most of the world didn't feel, but there were the group of people that really cared about these things were so supportive of it. It didn't matter,
That's it. I think that's the biggest one. That group of people that you're maybe they become fans of.
Yeah, there's always the critics and the deciders, and you get inside their graces, and everything's money.
I mean, if you look at like Jim Morrison, he wanted to be the poet, right?
Mm-hmm.
He became Jim Morrison the Doors, and after he left, wanted to be a poet. Nobody would take him.
It was too late.
The Doors.
Luther King, man, that's about it. Yeah.
So do you guys like take inspiration from like different poets, like or?
What are you reading?
I feel like someone I felt their influence on me a lot this quarantine is Eileen Miles. I showed you one of her poems. I think it was it's Peanut Butter.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember.
Peanut Butter is.
I like it already.
Poem.
I like it already.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know, I've also been into a lot of Leonard Cohen's work as a writer, not as a musician.
Mhm.
And I've always felt the weight of Sylvia Plath's work on me. Ever since I picked up one of her books when I was 15, my work is kind of confessional in that way. And it's kind of crazy when you look back at the people you read when you were 15 and you're like,
Right.
that's exactly why I write that way.
Being a journaler for so long, do you feel like this is just an extension of that? Just just kind of decorating the thoughts a little more?
I feel like poetry's more a reaction to the world around me. I feel like poetry's the right medium for me right now. It can't be journaling. Like, poetry's just suiting what I feel a lot more.
Yeah, journaling can breach at a certain point. It's almost selfish. You know what I mean? Because if you have so much to say, maybe you should start sharing it in different ways.
Yes.
Keep it all to yourself. What were you saying?
I was gonna say because you had done like all those diaries, and you said that your poetry is kind of confessional.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that that's like directly correlated? Like that led you into your confessional?
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be. Like, it's how I am. Like, I'm a product of what I've lived through, and yeah, it's just my
Customer service.
Yeah, I was just telling Angel,
Yeah.
like, and one of my poems, the title is "Am I the Sum of My Parts Yet?" And that's on my mind a lot, where everything I'm writing about is just me reacting to what's happened to me. So, yeah.
That's interesting. You just said that. I could even bring the picture up right now. One of the weirdest things, I like little moments, when you see something random, you're like, oh wow, why did that just happen? I opened up a matchbook recently, and
Nobody uses
it's this matchbook
Why not a lighter?
that I've been keeping around, and for whatever reason, nobody has a matchbook. And inside of it, in my own writing, and I have no idea having done it, I remember coming across this matchbook once at a different time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, because I had snapped a picture of it, and it said that that life is more than the sum of its parts in the matchbook. So there is a reason for matches.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if it's just
Life
that.
lessons.
Yeah.
We've come full circle.
Yeah. Look at us.
So, would you say that we could maybe hear something of your guys' here tonight? You got something you could read for us?
I didn't bring it for nothing.
Yeah. Let's get into it. What do you
Y'all
got?
want that right now?
Yeah, just pull something out. Tell us all about it. How about you, Angel?
Yeah, I'll go after Cheri.
Okay, sounds good.
I brought a couple things. I carry a lot of writing with me. I was just showing Angel this before we started, but I'm working on this little book of like poems that could be like a DIY kind of thing. But this is the most recent one. It's called "The World Continues to Be Overwhelming and Confusing." And okay, here I go. I accuse Perks of being a wallflower, and Stephen Chbosky, and Charlie and Sam of convincing me I was invincible. I took literature out of context and treated it as scripture. I'm paying for it in my 20s, and I don't think it was worth it. Living like I could never die isn't helping me much now that I want to live. I should have got comfortable dying. I should have got friendly with disappointment. A body starved will find sustenance elsewhere. Flesh and bone and none, soul illuminated, Bohemia is now in Portland. And I may be fucking crazy, but at least I can see things for how they are, right? With no obstructions, right? I'm still winning, right? Look, Mom, no hands. Am I the sum of my parts yet?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'll take both. Yeah, that's my most recent piece. It's kind of like me looking at, and I think we've spoke about it a little, where I'll look at my idols in literature and kind of accuse them, like, you've led me down this path, and look where I am now.
Yeah.
And now I have to walk back up that path and find a different way.
So when you sit down and write a piece like that, does it come in stages? Do you write lines at a time? Do you sit down, focus, and complete a piece? Do you write lots of stuff in a sitting? What's the process like?
The process is in two ways. I keep a small black journal on me at all times to write anytime. I'll write in traffic or I'll write after this. Yes. And sometimes I'll take one line that really, really means something to me and I'll explore it. And I'll explore that idea and see where it takes me. And other times, and it comes from an Emily Dickinson quote I wrote once, where poetry for her and for me as well comes from just an overwhelming rush of emotion that you just have to address.
Right.
And that's typically when these poems happen.
Yeah.
It's
I know for myself, writing, it was more music related at the time. And then I think I mentioned it last time we were in here with an author and poet, Bob Marshall. We, sometimes art, hits us so hard as artists. It's like you have this idea and it has to be manifested, even if it's just kind of a dry run. And I remember driving around in a parts truck at 20 years old, and I had all these little sticky notes, and I would just write. Sometimes I'd pull over, I'd be listening to a song or something and just write. And it'd only be a few lines, and then somehow later I would have to surgically put all these little thoughts together. And I enjoy that kind of a process. I rarely sit down and knock out the project in one sitting. It's just not going to happen.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How do
What about you,
manage
Angel?
it? Yeah.
Should I read a thing?
Yeah.
And then we can talk about
We could talk about it.
Should I read a...
Sorry, let me get that for now. Go ahead, man.
Should I do an early one or a later one, a recent one?
You can do both.
Okay, I'll do the last one I wrote. 2 weeks ago. The title, I'm bad at titles. I'm bad at titles, and I usually just do working titles and then the file name, and then they just stay like that.
Same.
Yeah, so this one I titled Strawberry Lemonade and a Wedding Cake. I sit and my legs get closer to the surface below me with each day. A thumb and a finger meet, sunlight glazing my skin from within. Does it count if I measure meets and football fields of wetlands lost? Babe, time to wake up and relive the same exact day you've had since early March, babe. I am not a sex slave. I am not into sadomasochism. I am not a cowboy driving the cattle in a dust storm, because I would presumably wear a mask as well. Please get out of my store, ma'am. It's good to go swimming with a sparrow on the floor, for one feels like a duck when is happy and right. He fights the Pope in hand-to-hand combat inside the Sistine Chapel in the graying muzzle, well aware of the situation, while the cast and the crew and the women with the fur worry. Every day I decide I won't feel nauseous, and every day life is like that. It is 1 p.m, the way I made all the calls I had to make today, and I've been drinking to celebrate, okay? Release ad nauseum, bins ad nauseum, man. Dead horse on the freeway on my way to work, and what to do with the bricks. Set them up as barricades, the way Hong Kong did. Send tweet. Yeah, that's...
So, for yourself then, how do you tackle that? That's some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
When you sit down, when you sit down and put, those kind of words on paper, does it all come at once? What's the process?
This one did come all at once. Well, all at once in the sense that the first draft all at once, and then just kept coming back to it and then revising
Right,
it.
polished it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But the thought was completed in a sitting, in a moment.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that. I also do something like that. I like working as a collage kind of thing.
Right.
I have a very long note in my notes app with just little snippets that I overhear from people, or that I hear in a movie, or happen to bump into reading a book or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Subject matter that just sends you down the line sometimes.
Yeah, and then sometimes I'll if I'm not feeling I don't know how to start a thing, or I don't know where to take it, I'll go back to the thing, and then either it'll spur something, an idea, or I'll just use the thing and then kind of write around it. Yeah.
I wonder if you guys personally writing longer kind of format poetry, or you get more you can express more, right?
I just talk a lot.
Those are his text messages things too.
Oh, man, they are.
I'll wake up to
Sweet.
52. I'm like, oh, who was thinking of me?
That's fun. Yeah, I think I'm like I can't do it long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know why. It's
Huh.
just like, I'm like I feel like I get bored pretty easily. So like the art and mine just for me because you get to make art for yourself and
Right.
doing it and whatever. But I can't have it as long because I'll lose interest in my own stuff that fast.
I think about that
You
too. Quickly back to the short conversation we had about like Muse and like hearing your work get like torn
Right.
apart.
Yeah.
I think this was last year. The girl was like, I just looked at it and it was just too long. I read the first stanza. I was like, nope. And then later when like we voted, and then it was like, oh, okay. So then like, whose work was that one? I was like, oh, that's me. And she'd been working with me like on like a group or whatever. She was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Angel. I didn't even read it. I was like, yeah, well, you should
Well, you should
fucking
fucking
read it. Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. We read the stuff.
Yeah, that's taking a preconceived notion a little too far.
Yeah.
Like if the aim of the class is to read the stuff, just to look at the size and shape of it and decide you don't want to read it, it's kind of
No, but that's definitely a thing, like attention spans and stuff.
Oh,
and
especially now.
Especially now, yeah.
And
People don't listen to a whole song now, like literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're spinning it and mashing it up into the next song before you get through the hook.
Yeah. I think it's become like if you're on Instagram, those like a minute
Right.
of attention you have to art because it's not as important to you or the consumer. It's like, oh, okay, it's just cool, right? Google it. Does it fit my aesthetic? I don't know. Let's see. What fits my aesthetic? What fits my aesthetic? And then like that's how I kind of do stuff. I mean, maybe it's the wrong way to look at being an artist. Like I try to see what people are really going to want to look at or hear or consume. But
I feel like poetry is like right now because of technology and stuff that it's taking on new dimensions to really get the impact from the same words that were so impactful just on paper, 50 or 100 years ago. You have to have full sound and lighting, Like, have you noticed the quality of things people are putting out?
The way we did the quarantine readings.
Yeah, we worked so hard on it.
We had to add theatrics to it.
Yeah.
You really do.
it came out really cool too.
Oh, thank
I was
you.
like, oh, this is cool.
Good.
Yeah, we worked really hard.
Tell me about those quarantine readings. I didn't.
Well, before all this, we were approached by the literary journal for La Sierra and then Palm Desert,
Yes.
I think. Roadrunner and something else. Concrete Desert. They approached us and were like, oh, we are you guys going to do another event this year or like planning on doing any readings? Do you guys want to do anything together? So we said, yeah. And then, so I was like, oh yeah, this is so fun because it was going to be like a series, I guess, and then leading up to the book launch. So I was like, oh, I get to do all these things. I was brainstorming and I had notes and stuff like already going on for sort of what I wanted to do with it. And then this happened. So it sucked.
So just kind of moved it over, give it
just kind of try to figure out how to translate it into mobile, I guess, into what we have right now. Because I still wanted to do the readings, the series, and I still wanted to work with like other organizations, other groups. I just started like, messaging them and getting like a lineup.
It was cool, man.
Thanks.
We were like figuring it out because we didn't necessarily have a structure to like go against and like say, okay, how did this group do it? Like we're like, okay, we're making it up as we go, kind of thing. Because we could rely on a live show or like a live reading.
Yeah,
that wasn't an option anymore. So it forced our hand at.
That's how this came around. It's a reactionary program. We couldn't do art talking or art walks anymore, and what are we going to do? And so let's just make a show. We just kind of dove right into it and started BSing with people about art because the art doesn't stop.
And I think when you corner people, it fosters creativity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know it's been a year since we did the readings here last? One full year.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. So this would be this first Thursday of last year in October was the Riverside County
Oh, it was on the first Thursday. Yeah. So it's
Rivco Poetry Night.
yeah.
That was a fun
was
gig.
fun.
Yeah, lots of really good readings that night.
Yeah.
We had Bob Marshall. I don't know if he was the one that did the motorcycle piece. That
Oh
night.
yeah.
We had him on the show here last month. But yeah, 1 year ago. Time flies.
Yeah.
So wow. And that was such an awesome.
Yeah, it's a bummer we can't do it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so everybody's finding just weird new ways to present their art. I was just thinking today that art is one of the places where, we have celebrities and politicians. They stopped filming and are taking recesses, but artists kept arting. They didn't stop. If anything, they probably went a little harder because all the other distractions of life kind of slowed down. So I think that the artists that really took advantage of the time are going to be able to come out swinging when things get back to normal.
It's weird. It's weird, like knowing. I mean, that's definitely something that I'm kind of still figuring out myself. Like, because I definitely write about like what I see or what's around me. So like how to incorporate what's going on. Like it's just inevitable, I guess, that it would slip in. But I want to do it deliberately because it's a big thing. And I don't know how to like approach
Do you feel
it.
like a lot of your guys' work during this period of time has been heavily influenced by what's going on?
I've written 3 poems, I think, so far. Only it's just so much pressure, like you said, all the distractions and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I've got all this time. What do I do with myself?
How about you, Cheri?
I feel like I've been writing more the last few poems I've had have been in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just reactionary to being at home for months on end.
Do you think that the social scare, the virus scares, do you see that stuff leaking into your work?
I feel I have a personal reaction to it only because I do have like severe asthma.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, even like when this whole thing first started, like I remember I told a close friend, like, this virus is gonna kill me. Like, this is targeted at me. And I guess in a way, if you want to talk about it that way, I feel like my poetry has been a little more like afraid of my life, like holding on to my life with all I can. And I think that is my reaction to all this right now.
Yeah, I don't know that the kind of work I've done in my own art has
I was gonna ask that.
influence. I think that I've just been willing to do more of it. Like, so everybody probably thought they were going to die when this happened, right?
Bro, I thought I was going to fucking die by like
So, like, I guess you go, all right, well, if I die, what will I have done? Did I finish anything? Like, maybe I should work on something.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that going on. I started growing tomatoes.
Nice.
That's what you did?
I've got my tomato.
Yeah, I got my tomato. Right now I have 3 beans, guys.
Oh,
Beans?
Yeah.
Oh,
green-
you're not going.
like
So
3
there's-
individual beans or like?
So there's actually like 3 to 5 beans in every pod.
Huh.
So it's more like 12, 15 beans.
Have you
So-
learned this over quarantine? Like-
Yeah, I didn't have any plants. Like, actually, we discussed it in the first art saga. I had just gotten my first succulents, and I was really proud of them. But I couldn't do anything with them because all they do is sit there. You water them like
Yeah.
twice a month, and they don't. I wanted more action, so I started growing food.
I got into DIY like projects at home. I changed all the light fixtures in my home. Today I changed the doorknob.
Wow,
Yeah.
is it the first time?
You're getting to the nitty gritty.
Yeah. No, I changed an electrical outlet the other day. Well, not the other day, a few weeks ago.
Did you get shocked?
I did get shocked.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Keeps you on your toes, huh?
It's pretty shocking in here.
yeah.
Shocked.
I started learning about that stuff, I guess, and then it's just fun. I got
Feels good to do things.
yeah, and I mean, I don't have my. I was complaining to Cheri the other day. Like, I don't have my errands. I don't have my like little routines and stuff that I do.
Yeah.
What do I do with myself? I
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Right.
yes, right. But like, like I said, like I've been that's definitely something that I've been thinking about a lot and trying to see what. I mean, you said something like that, like seeing what other people are doing and how they're approaching it, how they're dealing with it, I guess.
You guys get annoyed by your writing sometimes?
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, you sound pretentious.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I usually do. I'm like, dang it, this is, boy, I'm tired of myself. That's what I was trying to say. Like, I just always, I have a weird attention span, even to myself. Like, I'll get bored of just my own things. Like, it's just that, I applaud you guys for having like longer type of, writings.
Mm-hmm.
And getting out there and reading it out loud. You know what I mean?
It's so hard.
Something that just to put yourself out there, in front of everyone, without all the bells and whistles, the sound, the lights. You know what I mean? And speak from the heart. That's hard.
Because it's so intimate, I guess.
It is intimate.
You mentioned earlier about like being a musician, you've got the crowd and you've got like the performance and whatnot. But as a writer, at least it's kind of a lonely thing to do, or just like a yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you work on it and then it's finished, and then maybe you read it in public.
Right.
So when you read it in public, it's like, oh, this is the first time it's like been somewhere else,
Right.
other than myself.
Yeah, that's crazy because what was the coffee shop?
Back in the band?
Yeah, back to the Grand.
Yeah.
A lot of them had like the poetry readings or whatever,
Right.
like. And I was like, well, I was just afraid to share that intimacy with people. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna do it because then you can learn about it. So then I did it, and I was like, well, it's crazy. Like, it's a whole different type of feeling. I've never felt that way.
A lot of
like feels.
Full disclosure, a lot of Fernando's poetry is on a bed of visual stuff. He makes movies, and they kind of flow with the poetry. So as he was talking about, like, it's not a lot of words. There's a lot of imagery. You know what I mean? Highlighting the words and vice versa. So I remember that when you're like, I think I need to go read in front of people.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's like that.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's just cool to, and also it's like judgment. That's the biggest thing, right? You're standing in front of a crowd. I'm gonna get judged right now. But I allowed myself to think that, I'm allowing these judgments to come in. It's gonna be good or bad.
Yeah, and then you can see what works and what doesn't.
Exactly. And that's I kind of fell in love with that idea of just measuring, things like that. So like, oh, this is pretty sick. This is really sick.
Yeah, it's also cool because they're not like invested in you at all. Like if I mean, I've known Cheri like just only this year.
Yeah.
But we worked together, so we became friends. So we will share our work with each other, but it's like we're friends, I guess. So it's also a different thing to have it be judged by strangers or by people that have nothing to do with you and that don't care.
Yeah, those blind. I think some of that blind, reading of it is probably pretty important. You know what I mean, as far as getting an honest answer out of someone, or maybe not. Maybe everybody's like kind of concerned with who's and what. Is it blind on both ends? I mean, do you know who voted for what?
No, we vote. Well, I think with Professor Scott Coe, we voted like in writing.
Right.
But with Duke, it was like
We
raising
did
hand kind of thing.
looking
Yeah.
around.
Through Zoom, I guess.
You gotta be blind on both ends. You gotta put your stuff in the hat. Nobody knows who
Yeah.
said what. Just get the raw truth from everyone. it
You
might hurt, but you all go away knowing something you didn't know before you walked in the room.
No, it's super helpful. I took before Muse, and I guess like or around the same time that I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take myself seriously.
Yeah.
I took a creative writing class with Professor Duquette.
Shut up. That same thing happened to me.
Oh really?
Like same.
Yeah, and then she was like,
time.
oh, you should join that thing, and then I joined the thing, and then now I'm here. And it was also, I mean, it was the first time that I got to like work specifically on writing, on my writing, and like creatively, not like an essay or academic stuff. And then, like hearing people's thoughts about it when we were workshopping them, like we were talking about the short story and hearing people's like interpretations of it that I wasn't thinking about substance abuse.
Right.
But I mean, I definitely see the reading in there. Like I can see why and how.
Yeah, now that you look back on it in retrospect.
Yeah.
It's hindsight.
Did you get that when you?
Oh
were
yeah, tons of
class?
that. Like the story that I wrote in that creative writing class later got published in Muse. So it was the same story I was working on.
The one
You're living
this year?
all over me.
Oh,
Yes. And it was so interesting hearing what people said. Like, one thing that kind of tripped me up was there's a line I write where it's a wave of content nausea ensued. So it's just a bunch of content hitting you as once. And one girl read it as content nausea, like being okay with your nausea. And I was like, oh.
You didn't see that one coming.
No. Yeah, but it's really, for me too,
Synonyms.
yeah, the same thing where I would take my writing as like a very like personal thing. Like it's almost like a confession when I put my hand to the paper. But stepping into Dukett's writing class, it became like, okay, I can treat this as a craft. So it brought it in a really interesting light, and I've like fallen in love ever since. So I'm just a dedicated poet now.
So you guys got any events coming up? Is Muse doing anything? Or are you guys doing anything personally?
Anything in person now? Maybe next year, hopefully.
Yeah.
But we're doing a few readings on Instagram right now. We had one last week. Sochi Bermejo read a few poems and did like.
And this is on Instagram.
Yeah, on our Instagram live at RCC Muse.
At RCC Muse.
We're having another one this Thursday. At the same time. And then we'll be having another one the next week and then the following week.
So if someone was to follow you guys' stuff, you'd be telling them about when and how that was.
Yeah, we'll just be posting about it. And the one for this week's going to be on Facebook. We'll post where it's being streamed. So
you can find them at RCC Muse on Instagram, and it's RCC Muse Magazine on Facebook. So, do you guys want to take us out with a piece or two, one of each? You guys in?
Me?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
The closer.
That was a. Well, I'll read another.
Will you use notes on the?
Me? No, I sometimes I use notes, but these are just like PDFs of Google Docs. This one is also recent. I also wrote like during this. The working title is Where We Are Now / An Old Ship. This is where we are now, waving an arm around, pointing at everywhere and nowhere in the stolen land. What does a hairline fracture sound like? An old ship. And it lingers like a burning building in unsteady shoes. Big blue clown ones for sure, but I drove an hour tonight and unidentified uniformed men in unmarked rental vans are kidnapping people off the streets of Portland, and are we keeping score? We had 143K deaths this week in ink, pot and kettle attempt to parkour over a fence. Perhaps the wise ones knew us, walking into things at night, scrolling in the sand, and leaving questionable footprints behind. Maybe someday we'll wake up well rested and know nature knows best about what colors go together well. Hell, in any case, all roads lead to Rome, the way the old saying goes. All in all, it was the way the road to me, rather than the nub. And what if I'm into the idea of pushing some stupid stone? However, the situation of the glory of the king is quite special, and I just hope this time you're willing to bend more and build different shoes and matching hats as a statement, and we still won't be the ones to bring them back. You see, the skill's not in manifesting a specific past. The trend is found in curating and learning how to braid.
Yeah. I like that the color, the nature knows what colors go best. That's sick.
Thanks.
That was a good one. I like it.
Thanks.
All right, Cheri, you're not off the hook.
Me?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, go ahead, Angel. Okay. Which one y'all want? Okay. We'll do this one. We'll do this one. Okay. This one is called Love is the Will to Extend Oneself. Is it childish to wonder if words of mine still float around your head like specks of dust, like yours do in mine, suspended in passing for observation only, and not for contemplation, unless I'm trying to have a terrible day? And if the answer is yes, and if they do float and suspend, what words would they be? Which words have survived your self-inflicted atomic bomb that no one was meant to survive, in lieu of a simple closed door? There's a 2-pound weight in my chest, and it's in the shape of your piercing eye contact, and it pulls itself at the same slow rate of the rises and falls of your chest, with the shallow breaths you take when falling asleep. you accessed a part of me that felt like shit, and I think I had to cut you open to get it.
I like that line. Unless I'm trying to have a terrible day.
It feels that way
We
sometimes.
do that. We do that to
Yeah.
ourselves as humans. All right. Well, thanks for coming out, guys. It's been
For
fun.
having us.
Angel Neri and Cheri Jocson from the Muse RCC Literary Journal. You can find them on the channels we talked about earlier, or you can stop in and visit over there. They got books that you can buy.
Yeah.
Venmo is it what?
RCC Muse.
RCC Muse.
Yes.
So get yourself a copy. It's actually really good. I have 2 of my own, and I've read through them thoroughly.
They're very
It's good
pretty.
stuff. Yeah,
They
well
are
done.
very
It's a
pretty.
good publication. We're Mind and Mill Toil Gallery. This is The Arts Talk, and we're signing off. Everybody have a good night. Join us next month.
Yeah. Cue music.